All right, I am back with a regular episode today where I'm going to be talking about the finished objects I have, works in progress I'm working on, maybe future plans. We'll see if we get to that or if I have anything really to. No, I mean I kind of do have stuff to talk about. And yeah, so it'll just be a regular episode today. If you're new here, all the things I talk about are linked in the description box below, along with links to my Ravelry, my Ko-Fi, my website, and my Instagram, that kind of thing. I used to have a Patreon, but I shut it down because it wasn't really serving me creatively anymore, and I wanted to make sure that people who are subscribed to it kind of got the value for how they were supporting me. So I decided to put it on hold and shut it down for now. And maybe we'll revisit a subscription model in the future, but I'm not quite sure. I'm working on a lot of other things right now, which is really exciting. Can't say anything about them yet. So that's where I'm devoting my energy there nowadays. If you're new, I'm Andrea. I'm an orthopedic physical therapist, and I teach makers how to care for their bodies. You can find me teaching. You can find me online making self-care reels on Instagram and on TikTok. I teach quite often. And the next time I'm teaching is at Sacred Sheep in Portland on the first weekend of November. I think it's November 4 to 6. So if you're in the area and you haven't gotten tickets for Sacred Sheep yet, or if you'd like to come take a class, you can definitely do so. I believe there are still tickets left. And you don't need to purchase a ticket to attend the marketplace to take a class with me. Those are completely separate. So, if you don't really want to go to the marketplace and look at what maybe some dyers or some makers are offering for sale, and you just want to take a class with me, you can definitely do that too. I'm very excited to go out and to attend Sacred Sheep and to teach and to meet everyone. Really excited for that. That is just about a month away. Today, let's just get started. I usually start with what I'm wearing, and what I'm wearing today is also my finished object too. So first of all, the top I'm wearing underneath is the weekday tee. This is a design by Amy Scher. I knit this last summer. I test knit this for them last summer, and I used Ritual Dyes, which is the store that is kind of sponsoring and responsible for Sacred Sheep. This is their Undine base, which is a cotton linen base. I think 60% cotton, 40% linen, I believe. I'll correct myself if I'm wrong, which is a really nice plant-based summer fabric to use. So this is the weekday tee, and I'm wearing this with my newest make, which is the Traveler Shell by Andrea Mary. So as you can see, it is I guess you could call it a cardigan. It just has short sleeves. I'll stand up to give you the full look here. So it's got this kind of garter stitch pattern, but not really garter stitch. It's kind of garter and stockinette in a pattern here. It's got these nice big pockets. You can see here my as I didn't really tuck in yet. And it's super comfy. It's a really great transitional piece. I cast this on last year, like pretty much a year ago, and finally finished it now. But better late than never, right? So the yarns I use for this are, I don't think I have any left over. The yarns I use for this are Ching Fiber in their Veranita base, which is a 78% cashmere, 12% merino, I believe, or 12% silk base. And it is lace weight, and I use that in the colorway Duckling, which is a light yellow, and I paired it with Sunday Fiber Co. in their colorway Cream Tangerine, and this is on the Barefoot Sock merino base, which is their organic sock base. And the fabric it comes out with is like this. It's really pretty. You can see past episodes where I show you the two yarns separate and how they come together. But basically, the Cream Tangerine has a kind of grayish white base to it with all these, speckles and varied colors. And then the Duckling, the fuzzy yarn, is a very light yellow. So together it makes this very cohesive, I think, fabric, and kind of ties in together all the variegated colors together. And I'm really pleased with how it came out. And it is quite warm. Today's a little bit warmer. We've had some cold days recently, but today the sun came out, so it's a little bit warmer, so I am starting to sweat a little bit wearing this. But this will be great for like those 60 and 70-degree days where it's just chilly, but not chilly enough for a full-on sweater yet. or those days where, you know, it's chilly in the morning, but warm in the afternoon. Yeah. So I'm super happy with this and how it turned out. It did take me a while to make, partially because for some reason it took me a long time to wrap my head around how the garter and the stockinette rows went, because this is knit flat because it's a cardigan. So you knit flat back and forth. So it took me a while to figure out what exactly was the pattern of, like, you know, like how many garter stripes, how many garter rows, how many stockinette rows. But once I figured that out, it was like much faster from there on out, because then I didn't need to look at the pattern the whole time. Yeah. So otherwise, yeah, it was a pretty smooth make. The one thing I did change about the pattern, or that I kind of did unintentionally, is I didn't pick up as many stitches from my collar as written in the pattern. For the size I knit, which is I knit the size 3. I was supposed to pick up like a certain amount of stitches. I don't remember how much, and I'm not going to tell you anyway because it's a paper pattern. But I remember I picked up probably like 70 stitches less than I was supposed to pick up. And that wasn't intentional. It just kind of how it happened. And the rate that I was picking up happened like that. And I thought about going back and redoing the whole thing, but then I decided not to, because I picked up like over 300 stitches at this point. So I decided, you know what, let's just do it and see how it looks. And I'm pretty happy with how it looks. So I don't know if you've ever seen this pattern on other people, or if you've seen it on Ravelry. I have seen versions where it can get really long and really big, and versions where it's like a little bit shorter. So I saw 2 samples of these at La Bien Aimé's trunk show at Forever Doylestown last spring. And I remember she had 2 different samples, and they told me that one sample was just steam blocked and the other sample was wet blocked. The wet block sample was like longer and much more relaxed. And I remember looking at that thinking, okay, I want to steam block mine and when I come to do it, because I don't want mine to be as large. I end up wet blocking mine anyway, because I like to make sure everything's like kind of washed and dried. I don't know, it just feels better to me. And I think the fact that I did not pick up as many stitches for my button band meant that the smaller amount of stitches kept everything like tighter together, so it didn't really stretch out as much as it could have with the wet blocking. So I think that's how it worked out for me. So just a heads up if you want to make this pattern, and you know, just keep those considerations in mind, because this stitch pattern can grow quite a lot. Yeah, like you can see how large my pockets are too, and how much they stretched out, and which is really nice. Yeah. So yeah, super happy with this and how it turned out. Would I make this again? Maybe in the future. I'd make like a solid colored version and a darker, moodier one. But I'm not like in any rush to do it. I don't often make the same pattern twice, mostly because I'm too excited about other patterns I want to make. So it's very rare that I make the same pattern twice. Yeah. Okay, another, it's like a half finished object I have. So I have cast on a few, yeah, I've cast on a few things since the last episode I recorded, you know, 2 weeks ago. So if you have been around for the past year, you know I've had a lot of works in progress. I think somewhere we started with like 14 works in progress, and I've been slowly trying to whittle them down over the year. I got them down to 6, which is pretty awesome. I got them down to 6 once I cast off this. And of course, then I cast on like 2 or 3 other things in response. But one of them was that, you know, a lot of these works in progress I'm working on right now have been works in progress for at least half a year. And it was just feeling kind of stale to work on them. And I know some people would just go ahead and frog them. But a lot of these works in progress, I'm like, no, I still want the finished object. Like, I still want the finished object. It's not that I've fallen out of love with the finished object. I've just gotten kind of bored of working on it. So I cast on a really quick palette cleanser. And one palette cleanser I've cast on were the Polymnia mitts. And here is one. I finished one last night, bound it off. So this took me 4 days to knit up, which is pretty fast when you're mostly a garment knitter, right? And this is a pattern from Sari Nordland's book. It is called Softly, Timeless Knits. So I wound the yarn up for this like a while ago. The yarn's been sitting in a ball for probably like all summer, and I've only finally just cast them on now. But I'm really glad I did, because, you know, it only took me 4 days to make the first mitt, so it'll probably only take me another 4 days to make the second mitt. They're really pretty. The yarn I'm using for this is from Ampersand Fiber Co., which is a specialty milled base that La Mercerie carries, and Jess is the owner of both La Mercerie and Ampersand Fibers. This is the Jensen DK base, and it is very lovely. I do not know where my ball band went, but I think I actually have another skein of it sitting here. I do. Okay, here it is. So this is it in skein form, Jensen DK. This is the colorway Azurite, and it's batch number 2. So for this is 100% US Corriedale, 280 yards for 100 grams. It's 3-ply, so it's very bouncy and squishy. And each batch is a little different because I believe it has to do with the Corriedale that they're using. Something like that, yeah. So I had gotten this yarn and I've been wanting to try this yarn, but Corriedale does not always agree with me. So I thought, you know what, I'll use an accessory for it to test it out. So let me put on this. This is not blocked yet either, so keep that in mind. But look at this. Look how beautiful it is. So you can see there's a cable pattern. Let me adjust it, it's kind of twisted. Cable pattern on the top of your arm, and the bottom is just 2x2 rib, and it's a fingerless mitt. So you got your thumb, you got your fingers. Yeah. So you do decrease as you're going down the arm, and then you increase for the thumb gusset and that kind of thing. So yeah, but I've never made fingerless mitts before, so this is my first time. It was pretty straightforward, very easy. This is a DK weight yarn. You knit it on like US size 4 needles. So, you know, it was a really great palette cleanser. It is very warm, I can really tell. Like, it is, you know, a little rougher than Superwash Merino, but I am curious to see how it'll feel once I wash and block it. I'm sure it'll probably soften up a little. It might even bloom a little bit more. But I made these, and I've been wanting to make these because in the winters when I'm working in my office has windows on 3 of the 4 walls, and it has skylights. So it gets a lot of great light, but it means that it gets really cold and it gets really hot. So in the winter, it gets really hot. I don't want to turn on the heat all the time because I don't want it to get super dry in here. I have all my plants in here. Well, you can only see this one, but I have a bajillion other plants in here. And I don't want it to get too dry for them. And also for me, like, I am very sensitive to humidity levels too. So I don't like to turn on the heat a ton. But my hands do get cold when I'm working on my computer. So I'm making these so that I can use them when I'm typing on my computer in the winter, and it'll keep my hands nice and warm, hopefully. Yeah, super excited for these. Really glad I finally cast them on. Yeah, and the book itself is lovely too. I'll show you the page that has the picture of the mitts. There you go. Look how beautiful they are. Yeah. And all the patterns in this book are named for muses. And so Polymnia, I'll just read you what she wrote here. Polymnia was the muse of hymns, sacred poetry, dance, and eloquence. The name Polymnia means many hymns. Yeah. So yeah, very happy with these. Going to cast on the second one probably today and just, you know, get them done, get them blocked, and have them ready for when the weather turns really cold. Okay, the next work in progress I have to show you is another pair of mitts. So I believe in my 2024 goals video in the beginning of the year, I said that I wanted to make mitts. So I am making one, but I also want to make mitts for my kids. So the pattern I originally earmarked to make for my kids is the Clara's Playtime mitts from Amy Sher. They're a DK weight convertible mitten pattern, and it's convertible for the top and also I believe the thumb. So before I was even able to make them, Amy put out a test call for the fingering version last week. And I know in my last video I said no more test knits, but I make my own rules, so I can break them if I want. And this is really great motivation for me to finally make the mittens for my kids. Yeah, so I applied for the test knit, got in, and I have already cast on the cuff for one of the mitts. And this one will be for my daughter. I had them each go into my bin of leftover skeins from previous projects and pick them out, and she picked out this. This colorway is Mochi Donut. It is from Moondrake Fiber Co., and this was part of the collaboration she did with La Bien-Aimée, I think it was like 3 or 4 years ago. It was an AAPI collaboration. So this is Mochi Donut. It's super cute. You can see it's got speckles of yellow and some slight green and blue there among the pink Yeah. So it is, yeah, a convertible mitten. Really excited. So I think I'm almost at 2 inches. I need 2.5 inches before I start to work on like the body of the mitt. So yeah, so that's what I'm working on for that. I cast on a child's large. I actually did not measure her hand to figure out if it fit. I figured even if it doesn't fit now, it'll fit eventually. My kids also hate super tight things on their bodies, so if it's too big, it's fine. And then my son picked out this super fun thing from my stash. This is from Plank and Stella, and this is called Seizure Salad. My son is really into green because dinosaurs are green, or so we're told, right? We don't actually know what color they are. Anyway, but he's really into green, so he picked the super fun skein for his pair. Okay, the last thing I cast on. I don't have much of it to show, but Andrea Mowry released a pattern called Hey Sailor probably about 2 weeks ago. It is for the Insta Friends Knit Along that she hosts every year with La Mercerie. Actually, funny thing, the Traveler Shell was the Insta Friends Knit Along for it last year. And this year it's Hey Sailor, which is a fingering weight cardigan. It's a boxy cardigan with mosaic knitting, and it looked super fun. And I had yarn in my stash, so I cast it on. So all I've got right now is just the bottom ribbing because the pattern is knit bottom up. So just to give you a look at that color there, this color is Purple Elephant. It is from Knitting for Olive, and this is their cotton merino base. And the cotton merino base is 70% cotton, 30% merino. It's fingering weight. So for the pattern, you use 2 colors. So the colors I have are Purple Elephant will be my main color. And this here, this blue, which is soft blue, will be my CC. So I'm imagining a very soft, muted colorwork cardigan. Yeah. So the main reason I also cast this on is that it got me to frog one of my projects. I was using the soft blue originally for another tee that I had been working on last summer, the Florencia tee from Claudia Q from Unit 2. And I never got beyond doing the ribbing for the bottom. And yeah, and I'd been thinking that I should probably frog it for a while because I hadn't worked on it in a long time. I didn't feel motivated to work on it, but I am someone where it's really hard for me to frog things. The whole sunk cost fallacy like really gets in my head. So when I saw this pattern and realized that I had the yarn for it that would work, I was like, just do it now, Andrea, so you will frog that old project and move on. So yeah, that's kind of why I did it. This is kind of just going to be something I work on here and there, I think. It is a fingering weight cardigan. It is also short sleeved. So probably by the time I finish it, I won't be getting a ton of wear out of it. We'll see if that means I don't finish it until next fall, like this one. But whatever. Yeah. Otherwise, I've just been steadily working away on my old works in progress and just kind of alternating what I work on every day. Right now, I have a really large variety of things. Like, I've got the mitts, I've got a fingering weight cardigan. I've also got a kind of Aran weight cardigan going on. This is my Miles shirt jacket. This is a pattern by Ozetta. I made one of these last year. I decided to make another one. This is in Durum Natura in the, which base is it? Durum Natura and the Serrano base. I also purchased this from La Mercerie online. This is the colorway Biche. And it's a neutrally oatmeal gray. No, neutrally oatmeal brown, not gray. Yeah. Yeah, and I've just been slowly working on this. I think the last time I showed it to you, I was still working on just one of the fronts, but I've since done both of the fronts, joined in the body for the cardigan. I've got about almost 5 inches of the body on it now. So yeah, so I'm just working away on this one. This one is actually the project I've been using my Prim ergonomic needles on. That's what they look like. So Prim ergonomic needles, they are made of a synthetic material, so like plastic. So they're light. And they have a triangular shape to them, which I don't know if you can see here, but they have a triangular shape to them, similar to how kids learn how to write with triangular pencils. The triangular shape is supposed to ease the strain of your fingers holding onto them. And then they also have this tapered tip to make it easy to pick up your stitches and just slide them. They got a stainless steel cable, and I quite like the cable actually. And the whole thing, the needles are actually very light. So I have a reel that I made, and I don't remember if I uploaded to YouTube, but it's on my TikTok and my Instagram, where I compared the weight of a pair of, I think they were size 7s Prims and size 7 Chowgus, which are my usual metal needles, and I compared them in the same exact lengths to see how heavy they were, and the Prims were noticeably lighter. So that's just one thing to note. If you feel like your needles are kind of heavy, Prim ergonomic needles might be something to check out. I tend to have issues with knitting anything that's on US 9s and above, and this project uses US 10s. And I have discovered that with using the Prims, my hands have less fatigue. I still do have to take breaks and be mindful of how I'm holding my needles and touching my yarn, but it is much less fatiguing on my hands than it is when I'm using regular like stainless steel needles. Yeah, so that's just one thing to note. If you want to know more, I have a blog post up on my blog where I've written all about Prim ergonomic needles. I have an affiliate link there also, so if you choose to make a purchase, if you use my code TheKnittingPT10, you can get 10% off on the entire website, which is great because Prim is part of Handicraft, and Handicraft has a lot of crafting tools, not just knitting, but also for sewing, crochet, embroidery, all those things too. So check it out if you like. All right. My other work in progress I've been working on is a pair of socks. So if you remember, I cast these on like at the beginning of the year. These are Christmas socks, and I cast them on then saying like, I'll probably not even finish them until actually Christmas. And it's probably going to be true because we are now like 3 months away from Christmas, less than 3 months, and they're not done, but they're pretty far along now. So here's what I've got so far. You can see I'm knitting them on tandem on their own needles on 9-inch circulars. One sock is a little bit longer than the other. And this yarn is from Nomadic Yarns, who is a self-striping yarn dyer. And this colorway is called Letters to Santa. Yeah, so the pattern I'm using for these is from Maddie Mo's Afterthought Heel sock. I forget what the pattern name is called. I will have it down here below. But basically, I'm trying out an afterthought heel with this. I've never done an afterthought heel before, so I figured why not just try one out? Because this is a really nice travel project. I can just keep knitting, basically until I think it's long enough, and then you cut and do whatever you need to do for the heels. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm starting to get progress on these. I would also like to have these done by the end of the year, so hopefully I'll pick up some more steam on them. Yeah, for now, the mitts are my travel project for like when my daughter's at swim practice all week, but once the mitts are done, then it'll be back to the socks. All right, the last pattern I have to share with you is my Moonflower pullover. This is a pattern by Sari Nordland. It is an all-over cable pullover, and here it is so far. So I've since finished the back, and now I'm working the front. I've joined the fronts together. I'm working until we get to the point where we join in the body in the round. Yeah, I am finding cables much easier now. I think after I finished my Karina tee by her, which is all over cables also, and I picked the Moonflower back up, it was much easier for me to, again, like kind of follow along with the Moonflower cable charts. I also now am very confident in cabling without a cable needle, so that also helps with kind of like speed and feeling like I get a rhythm as I'm going. Yeah, and this is in Camellia Fiber Company in their Serene Aran base, and it is a colorway Twilight? No, Midnight. All right, here it is in a skein. So it's non-superwash. The information on the bobbin ends is wrong. Sylvia recently discovered, so I think it's like 160 yards, I think, for a skein, not 218. The mill gave them the wrong information. So yeah. But yeah, it's also it's a high, you can kind of see it's like a high twisty base. It's 8 ply. So also super bouncy, really good stitch definition, as you can see for the cables. The cables do really well in it. Yeah. So I am just also working away on this when I have time, and yeah. I feel like I have a really good range of projects. Like I can pick up whatever I want whenever my mood feels like. You know, I've got little projects of mitts and socks. I've got cabled projects. I've got just stockinette projects. Um, yeah, it's just a really good mix right now. I am still really itching to cast on more things. So I'm trying really hard to just like keep plugging away on one project at a time, like focus a lot more attention on one project every week at a time so that I can make faster progress on that one, get that one off the needles, that kind of thing. I know this might sound very factory-like to some of you. I am honestly more of a product knitter than I am a process knitter. I get way more joy out of the finished product and getting to wear it than I do in the process of knitting. Don't get me wrong, I still enjoy to knit, but I still really love getting a product too. So that's why I kind of like talk in that way. Yeah, it's not because I'm trying to like be super fast. It's more like I get a lot of enjoyment out of finishing something and casting off and blocking it and getting to wear it. Yeah. Let me know what you are attracted to knitting right now. Like, are you really attracted to stockinette and kind of that easy rhythm of doing the same motion over and over again, that repetitiveness? Or are you attracted to cables or lace, something where they use your brain a little bit more, or color work? Yeah, that's the one thing I'm not doing. I'm just not doing color work. I don't have any color work on my needles, which is okay. I have a lot of things on my needles, right? But yeah, let me know what you are drawn to right now in this time of year. And does that change for you depending on the season? I think for me, I get drawn to cables like in the winter, right? Because cables evoke that squishy, cozy factor. Yeah, but I don't know. It kind of also just kind of fluctuates all over the place. But yeah, so I'd like to hear what you're attracted to right now and what you're working on or what you want to work on or dreaming of working on. Anyways, that's it for this week. I will see you all next time. Happy knitting.